Hello and welcome to my world and my personal headcanon. We are now up to part 5 of my terribly thought out what if scenario. What if Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans, were female, thus making them the princess of all Saiyans? Now, this is being recorded the same day as part 4, hence the same shirt, same lighting, same everything here. So, mainly because once I scripted out the fourth part, I just kept going putting together notes for what would cover the next 390 days of Vegeta's life being on Earth. And so we're picking up here on Earth in a forest clearing. The Namekian survivors Bulma, Piccolo, Gohan basically are thanking Vegeta for saving their proverbial bacon and escaping Namek, as the Namekian Dragon Balls come crashing down from the sky above, having following them from Namek once everybody was transported there. Guru, of course, passes along the role of Elder Tamori, who, along with Dende, explains some major league differences between their Dragon Balls and the Earth variant that were created by Kami. For one, the Namekian Dragon Balls can be used once every 130 days. They do not have the same year limit when it comes to resurrecting individuals, and also they can resurrect people more than once. So thus, Chaozu can be brought back since they died before previously, and then of course this also applies to Goku, who, as we know, has died for a second time in the context of this particular what-if scenario. Of course, everybody learns about Goku's death via King Kai, who contacts them telepathically to give them the lowdown on everything. Of course, Gohan is distraught about this, but Vegeta, taking into heart about acting like the ruler that the Saiyans needed to be, for the first time in her life, actually tries to do something in that role and ask Gohan to take her to his home so that she could speak with his mother, meeting Chi-Chi for the first time. And there is a bit of awkwardness as Vegeta tries to act as the leader of the Saiyans and everything, being formal and respectful, as she informs Chi-Chi about Goku's death, and the attempt acting all formal, royal, regal, is something Chi-Chi can appreciate, as she herself is the former princess of Fire Mountain, a title that she's long since abandoned. Vegeta also informs Chi-Chi of Gohan's actions and his bravery and everything that he did on Namek, and how a lot of it was not possible without him. And since this is coming from a strong-minded woman, Chi-Chi is rather receptive to the idea that Gohan should, do some actual training in addition to his studies, making him a bit more well-rounded. Again, this isn't Goku speaking to her. This is somebody speaking to her as eloquently as Vegeta can at this point, as speaking from royalty to royalty, for lack of a better term here. In the other world, Goku has gone back to King Kai's place, joining Tien, Chaozu, and Yamcha, where Raditz and Nappa are also hanging out here. It is here Goku starts to learn about his Saiyan heritage from Raditz and Nappa, learns about his father, as well as getting an understanding of the Super Saiyan transformation he experienced, and Goku starts about training to try to figure out how to control it. Raditz is particularly boastful and jubilant here that his younger brother is a legendary Super Saiyan, and wondering, since his younger brother could do it, maybe he can do it too, only for Nappa basically to shut him down on that idea, since the legend, as far as they know, only happens once every 1,000 years. Over the course of the next 130 days, give or take, Vegeta and Bulma basically become best friends as a result of everything, all their experiences together on Namek, particularly with how Bulma helped Vegeta, work through some deep feelings that she had no real clue on how to handle. And Chi-Chi, ends up being a third, making their duo into a trio. And this is mainly due to how the Princess of All Saiyans is dropping in periodically to train Gohan from time to time, giving him a much needed break from his studies, which Gohan greatly appreciates. And Gohan starts to view Vegeta as a bit of like a cool aunt. The Namekian refugees spend time exploring Earth, with a few of the warrior clan actually joining Piccolo out in the wastelands, do some training. And since he's fused with Nail, see if they can get up to his level at this point, since he is essentially the strongest Namekian, and somebody is going to have to, they're going to have to defend their new homeworld when they get a new planet Namek to go to. So they're going to need some strong warriors here. Now, a lot of members of the Dragon Clan actually find their way up to Kami up on the lookout. And with Namekians, basically hanging out with Kami and Piccolo, they actually make an attempt to encourage Kami and Piccolo to fuse, to, reunite. And neither of them are having it at this point, but they're at least kind of receptive to the idea, since Piccolo has already fused with Nail, and Piccolo's probably actually is more willing at this point, not by much, mind you, than Kami is in comparison. Either which way. At the 130-day mark of marking the completion of one Namekian calendar year, the Namekian Dragon Balls are used to revive Tien, Chaozu, and to bring Goku's remains to Earth, because Goku's body was on Namek, and if they revive him, he's going to be out in space and will die instantly. So because of how the wishes were used, Yamcha is left on King Kai's planet with Goku, Raditz, and Nappa, much to Yamcha's dismay at this point. From day 131 to 260, Bulma and Dr. Briefs create a gravity chamber for Vegeta to train in. And Gohan is, of course, allowed to take part in said training whenever Chi-Chi visits Capsule Corps, to hang out with Bulma and Vegeta, because again, they got their own tight, their own unit of friends there. So, and those visits become a little bit more frequent because of that little friendship triangle. On day 260, Yamcha, Raditz, and Nappa are all resurrected. The latter two kind of taking a liking to Yamcha because he's way weaker than them, so they can do some teasing after all. But also Nappa recognized, at the very least, or remembered that Vegeta took a liking to Yamcha, so playing nice is kind of like at this point, it is kind of a good idea as far as he's concerned. Now, on the day Raditz and Nappa are resurrected, Vegeta goes right up to Raditz and does something that no one is expecting. She punches him in the stomach and tells him that if he ever goes off on his own again because of a rumor and without backup, that there will be no Dragon Balls in the galaxy that will be able to fix what she does to him. Then she does something else that shocks both Raditz and Nappa, and that she gives them both a hug, and expressing how this entire situation and ordeal basically made her realize how important they were to her, considering her upbringing, basically being disowned, them being as far as they knew, the last remaining Saiyans. And so it's like Vegeta gets it all out there. and then takes a step back and lets Chi-Chi get her uh, words in as it relates to Goku's brother, which is now essentially her brother-in-law, as regards to Raditz's actions in kidnapping Gohan and basically setting forth everything in motion. And Raditz is basically terrified of Goku's wife, wondering how his brother, is married to such a woman. This, of course, is much to the amusement of Nappa and Vegeta at this point. Days 260 to 359, I'm being real specific there because I am going to tie something else in here that no one might expect. With Bulma's encouragement, Vegeta starts pursuing the interest, in her interest in Yamcha, finding him charming in several ways. I remember she found him to be a capable fighter, if a bit lackadaisical, and not recognizing what the Cyberman would use a suicidal attack to take him out. And Vegeta does find his habit of coasting on his natural talents to be a bit frustrating, particularly when she realizes that he's actually, because of his skills, he's the best baseball player on the planet. He's like Yamcha can hit home runs, easily because of his incredible hand-eye coordination and strength in comparison to the average human. So him not exactly living up to what she sees to be his potential is a little bit irritating to her. At the same time, during one of his own excursions, and yes, I'm stealing this from Masako X directly here because I always like this pairing because of Masako X's channel. Raditz eventually meets Launch, initially in her blue hair form. And because of her soft, gentle, somewhat easygoing persona in this form, at least in comparison to the likes of Chi-Chi, Raditz finds Launch to be very appealing until she sneezes and turns into blonde Launch, and the incredible shift in personality and tone and demeanor shocks Raditz to his very core, wondering what the hell is up with Earth women at this point. Nappa, being the oldest of the Saiyans and, not really interested in pursuing relationships, actually ends up spending a lot of time with Tien and Chaozu. Which, they spend quite a bit of time together on King Kai's planet. Again, Tien and Chaozu were not exactly thrilled with Nappa being around, considering how their initial encounters with him went. Chaozu blowing himself up, and Tien basically trying to avenge Chaozu, only for it to be entirely pointless. But there is a benefit that Tien is smart enough to realize. Number one, Nappa's been around. He's fought some incredible battles. Nappa is much stronger than he is. And since Nappa really doesn't have much to do, it's like he can act as a perfect measuring stick here. Not to mention, Nappa can learn a few things from Tien, picking up things like, the multi-form techniques, harnessing, adding a little bit more finesse to his brute strength. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. So it's like Tien gets stronger, tries to bring himself up to where Nappa is at, and Nappa learns a few things along the way. Now, on day 360, an alien probe lands on Earth with a ship. Arriving a few days later, this ship containing Turles and his Crusher Corps, who set about planting the seeds for the Tree of Might, which promptly begins sucking all the life force from the planet. Once informed by King Kai about what's going down, Vegeta basically takes a reluctant Yamcha to go destroy the tree, with Nappa, Tien, and Chaozu, joining them after, seeing this large tree basically popping up out of nowhere and being visible from where they were training at. Now, their initial attempts to destroy the Tree of Might, does not goes about as poorly as it does in the actual movie, with the Crusher Corps engaging them in battle. Vegeta dealing with Dies, Tien and Chaozu dealing with Raisin and Lakashi, Yamcha facing Chalco, and Nappa dealing with Armand. And to their shock, not the Crusher Corps shock, but Earth's new defenders in general, to their shock, this fight is a lot more difficult than it would initially appear. Now, of course, things turn more in their favor when Krillin, Piccolo, Raditz, and Gohan arrive, and putting some additional numbers to them, and actually, gives them a chance to win until Turles himself gets involved. Nappa recognizes Turles as being a low-level Saiyan who went AWOL many, many years ago, before the destruction of Planet Vegeta. Turles scoffs at everything once he realizes that, okay, here's Vegeta, the disowned princess, the daughter that was disowned by King Vegeta in favor of Prince Tarbell. And then, of course, Nappa and Raditz is like, but the Turles reveals a couple of things here, particularly of why his Crusher Corps is so strong. Because they've been partaking in the fruit of the Tree of Might on the multiple worlds they have, destroyed in their pursuit of gaining strength. Speaking with the fruit of the tree ripens to the point that the Turles and his crew each grab a piece of fruit. They each take a bite, and their power greatly increases. Despite having the numbers advantage here, it basically turns into a near one-sided affair as Turles and his Crusher Corps basically pick off our heroes in order. First, Chaozu gets taken down, Krillin, Gohan, Tien, Yamcha, Raditz, and Nappa, leaving Vegeta on her own. And, seeing her old and new comrade, the Nine Lives, falling by the wayside here, Vegeta's anger boils over as she screams that she is not going to lose anyone on this day, her rage erupting as she unlocks Super Saiyan. And this is more than enough. Like, she goes to town on Turles' minions, wiping them out one by one before engaging in direct battle with Turles himself in a fierce, hard-hitting battle. Vegeta ends up winning with her first Big Bang attack, and an attack that she was experimenting with, which kills not only Turles but also destroys the Tree of Might. Now, the reason why I was so specific about the days here. Day 365, Earth's Dragon Balls are back. They're fully recharged and ready for use. They are recovered, of course, found and used, and the wishes used to repair all the damage done by the Tree of Might here. From day 365 to 390, in the aftermath of Vegeta becoming a Super Saiyan, there is a question whether Gohan, Nappa, and Raditz could also become a Super Saiyan. Considering everything that Nappa, Raditz, and Vegeta knew about the legend only happened once every 1,000 years. But if Goku can do it and Vegeta was able to do it, hey, maybe all Saiyans could do it. There is a question about that. Nappa and Raditz are excited and go off the train as hard as they can to see if it can be done. Out of respect, Vegeta does not bring up the idea of training Gohan in pursuit of him becoming a Super Saiyan. It's like Chi-Chi is one of her closest friends at this point. But to Vegeta's own shock, Chi-Chi brings this topic up with her when she learns all about it. And it's like, and considering okay, we're making Gohan, he's going to be a great scholar and a great fighter, and for him to be the latter, he's going to need to learn to become a Super Saiyan himself. So basically, Chi-Chi wants Vegeta to train Gohan up in this regard. Again, so this is not coming from Goku, from her husband. Again, this is Chi-Chi's idea. She wants one of her best friends to train her son in that regard. And of course, Vegeta's relationship with Yamcha gets a little bit more serious as they move in with one another. Just to see, if it can work out. They're getting a little bit more serious as time goes by. And if anything, Vegeta being around and she is making sure Yamcha is doing his training and it's like, and being brought up to par, being all that he can be, much to his dismay. But hey, when you got a woman like Vegeta after, showing this much interest in you, there's really not much more. You really can't refuse her at this point. Now, on day 390, the Namekian Dragon Balls are used once again, this time to revive Goku, to create a new planet Namek, and to transport all the Namekians, save, Kami and Piccolo, to their new homeworld. Goku reunites with Gohan and Chi-Chi, before commenting on Vegeta that he's really looking forward to fighting her since she's also a Super Saiyan. So, there you go. So at this point, we essentially have everything covered up to a very large degree. The entire aftermath, at least the entire year plus, following the Frieza saga, is done here. Now the question is here, do I continue this? I do have some ideas regarding certain things that could be done, or at least referenced here. Is like, do I go into maybe covering the Garlic Jr. saga in this scenario, or going straight into the whole thing with Trunks, what about King Cold? Does Frieza come back in his robotic form? What about the Android saga? There's a lot of different ideas there. So I'm at this point, I'm going to put this series on hold, and so if you made it to this point and would like to see me continue it, and again, if you understand my incoherent ramblings, put them in the comment section below. And with that, thank you very much in tolerating this. Again, like, comment, subscribe if you're so inclined. Tighten your friendship bracelet, stay safe, and we'll see y'all hopefully in the next video.